tools all over the place, you know, so I'm cleaning up, thinning out. I figure another 3-4 hours and it'll be, I can actually now, I got on my lathe yesterday. I was able to walk over to it.
You say you can clean it out in 3 or 4 hours? I've been working on mine for 3 or 4 weeks and it's still not clean.
No, but you got to remember, I've been working on this over a month.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, one of the best things that happened, my son-in-law, you know those metal toolboxes the mechanics have with the different drawers on it? He got a new system, so he gave me one of these ones that fits like up on top of the big one. You know, it's like 20 some inches long, wide, about 20 inches deep. No, yeah, about 15 inches deep. I tell you what, I was able to take all the crap that was on my wall, like 3 rows of screwdrivers and all these wrenches, and put them in there. And now I was able to take all the stuff that was jammed together on this pegboard and spread it out. And it's like, wow, since my bench is 3 foot deep and I'm only 5'6", you know what I mean? That's kind of a reach anywhere over 2 inches above the countertop or bench top. And hey, wow, this is really nice. Now I just have to figure out where I'm gonna put the other crap.
Well, I've been redoing my shop. Started probably midsummer, and I have most of the equipment back in, but it's still a disaster.
Because we don't ever want to get rid of anything.
You're right.
My biggest problem is trying to get rid of the wood. I mean, I've got the little scraps wood and deciding, well, this is burned, and it gets down to finials. I got about 1,000 finials worth of stuff now. I'll never use it all, but you know how it goes. And of course, the piece that you throw away is the piece you recognize you needed a day later.
Always.
It never happened to me. I've never thrown any away yet.
Oh, well.
Morning, Lowell. I have a guest here this morning. I'm going to swing the computer around. He can talk to you for a few minutes because I'm going to go in and get our coffee.
Good morning.
Hello, everybody. All right. Lowell's a member of the Quad State Bodgers also. And he's been my turning buddy for the last, what, 10, 12 years, something like that?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I've enjoyed sitting in with you.
He's sat in a couple of the meetings here. So I'm going to run and get the coffee.
So have any of you found a good place to buy a shop smock?
Well, I get mine from the AEW.
Yeah, what, $55?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
They last a while.
I got one from Axel a while. He ordered a bunch from Britain, and but that was over the internet. I forget where he got them. It's actually quite a nice winter smock. It's because it tightens up around the collar and it's got Velcro around the arms. Hey, Axel, where did you get those smocks that you ordered for us?
England?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't ask me. It's a wood turning place in England. I tell you what, I like it, especially in this cooler weather. It's kind of almost warm, but it is heavy duty. I mean, you're not gonna. You wear this one out. You've been in the shop too long.
Yeah.
I mean, it's heavy duty, but it's really, really well made. Don't you think, Doug?
I really like mine. I've had I use it, but I only use it in the wintertime.
See, for me, it's too hot in the summertime.
Yeah, way too hot for the summer. I don't know. Maybe what you need to do is talk to Dr. Bob or something like that about a dentist smock. You know, something that tightens around the neck. I think that's what I find is most important. Is something that really gives you a tight neck, so it doesn't get shavings down your shirt all the time.
Yeah, but that English one has that Velcro and a high collar.
Oh, yeah.
I still end up with wood chips in my shirt. So what the heck's the difference? It's just a quantity of wood chips.
Oh, okay. John Kelsey is showing as being on, even though he's muted. The reason he's on is because he's actually recording the video for this week again. So he's just left it on record at his home. So.
Yeah, it's funny. He doesn't. Oh yeah, he's under the logo.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Charles is firing your green screen effectively.
Good morning, Ernie.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Ernie.
Good morning, Doug. I've got that PowerPoint show ready if you need it today.
Okay, excellent. Well, I'm planning on. I think we might do something with that.
Here he is. There's handsome.
Yeah. What are you trying to do? Show off my workshop, Ray?
Yeah, I snuck a picture of it.
What'd you do? Have an explosion in there?
Oh, no, that's, you see it before it got cleaned up.
Oh, I can relate. Thank God yours is twice, 3 times the size of my. Well, you know how big my shop is.
Yeah.
Good morning, Bob.
Morning, everybody.
Morning. Ray's been to my shop. It's so small that if I bend over while I'm turning, my ass is outside the door.
Actually, it's so small. When I was visiting, I didn't know if he was making a pass at me or that was the size of the shop.
It is small.
Mine's small too.
But you know, the neat thing about it is I opened up that garage door and I had that big overhang, that 6-foot overhang. On a sunny day like today, it gets nice and warm in that area. Just from the sun, and it's protected on one side. So, but boy, when there's no sun, ooh, it's cold.
When I was part of more active in the segmented Woodturners, we saw Malcolm Tibbetts' shop, and I swear, you know, you think of a guy like that having a huge shop and everything like that because he's got making all these pieces. And I think his shop is actually smaller than Bill Tatkovsky's is as far as just a little shop on the outside. Good morning, Roy.
Good morning.
Did you ever see a picture of Barry Gross's shop?
No.
He does all this pen stuff, and he had a business and he bought Arizona Silhouette that sells pen supplies. His is the most compact I think I've ever seen. And I, you know, just he does a lot of high-end pen stuff, and I expected a bigger shop. It's tiny. Oh well, it may not be tiny. It's like a garage bay, but packed. But you know, if he's the only one in there,
And if he's a pen turner, he doesn't need anything big. Let's face it.
well, he does. I thought it would be more because he does do stuff. You know, he takes orders, and it may be for hundreds of pens. So you need some elbow room. But
Well, when you think of it, the lathe doesn't really take up that big a footprint, even a big lathe. So, but that's the thing about the thing about us as wood turning is we at least have to worry about the lathe, but you don't need to have all the joiners, planers, and everything else you do with furniture making, necessarily to do lathe work. So, not only is it a fast project, it's also a compact project. And it's surprising how much you can make on a little mini lathe too.
To move my lathes around the shop, when I have a class, I spread them out, and when I don't, I compact them by just use 2 floor jacks.
Yeah.
You can roll them anywhere.
I was going to say, but you only need a small space for lathes, but unlike Ernie, we don't all have 35 lathes in our shop either. So.
What do you do, Ernie, when you figure out which one you're going to use? You do eeny, miny, mo or something like that?
Yeah, or sometimes if I'm doing, like one time I was turning all those staved birdhouses for Christmas presents. So I had 4 lathes lined up where I'd just walk them from station to station with a different chuck on each one and just run the thing right through the presents.
That's probably nice if you're going to do a lot of things like that, you know, because, you know, you as you said, you go from one lathe to the other. You don't have to move it. You know, when you move all 4 of them.
Yep. Yeah, and put new chucks on and everything else, because on those birdhouses, you made chucks that held them at various stages.
You have
Actually-
you have very many different lathe models, Ernie, or is it mostly?
Right now, I have 2 Powermatics, a one-way 2436, and a robust Scout. And then I have a mini lathe, and I have a Conover lathe that's broken down right now, and I have a South Bend metalworking lathe.
Raymond, you still got that Stubby?
Yes,
That is one neat lathe.
that'll be, that, I have to say, it's simple and it does the job and it does the job well.
You hardly ever see anybody talking about them, or I don't
Well,
see them advertised or anything like that.
John Jordan used to sell them, and then there was another guy that started selling them. He's passed away, and the owner at that time has the business passed over to his son, and they've done a redesign. So I haven't heard of any stateside distributor yet.
Oh, that's not an American made.
No, it's Australian.
Wait.
So-
So half the cost then.
Well, the guy that had him here, he made the stand here and imported the lathe, so it kept the price down because of the cost. It's so heavy to ship cast iron, or so expensive because it's so heavy. So what he did is he built the stand, did a nice job, nice stand, and so if the new guy is not doing that, if it's all inclusive and it's cast iron legs and all that, very expensive to ship to the States.
Do you think that's why Nova has such light stands on their products then?
Yep.
Now you could get, I don't know if they do it now, but when I had my Nova, I bought the cast iron legs for that, which I always felt the cast iron, the added weight made a difference. And cast iron is good for the vibration. But you're right that you start adding on the cost of that stuff. The shipping is really high.
Well, I used to wish I was in the helium balloon business instead of the lathe business when I went to trade shows. And the legs for our lathe were 75 pounds a piece. And I got so fed up with carting them in and out of exhibit halls. I had a set struck in aluminum, which cut them down to 25 pounds a piece. And then when you put it on display, the lathe didn't have the heft that it used to. So I used to super glue the lathe. It seemed a lot heavier than it was.
Yeah. So who we got now?
Morning, Kai.
Morning. Hello.
Morning, Kai.
Morning.
Morning, Kai.
Hi.
Wie geht's?
Gut, danke.
Bitte. Was hast du neu gemacht?
Eigentlich nichts Besonderes. Ich hatte zuletzt die Kreisel gemacht und eine Schale habe ich gemacht, eine Calabash. Das werde ich noch zeigen. So, I will show.
That's what you made into English.
Sorry?
I said, and now you can tell us all in English what you made.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I made a calabash, so one of these Hawaiian bowls. And I can show you a few pictures. I think Doug already knows.
We'll get you in on the lineup. I've got you down for today, Kai.
Yeah, if there is time, we can do that. And also we have a report about our last club meeting in Germany, and there's one photo of Axel there as well. So maybe I can show that one.
Oh, don't, please.
So you beamed yourself over to Germany, did you, Axel?
Well, yes, it was a interesting meeting. I didn't realize just how bad my German was, or how fast the northern Germans speak.
Folks, it looks like it's getting on 10 o'clock. We can wait a few more minutes to see if more people are going to join us. I thought today that we would lead off with the video of Ben's shop, if that's all right with you, Ben.
Yeah, that's fine.
We have, let me just see what we have. Welcome, everybody.
Good morning, Doug. Good morning, everybody.
Remember to record it.
It's already being recorded on John's computer. That's why John actually kept himself going, so you can see the recording button. So we have that going on. So this morning, what we have planned is at least we have a video from Ben, of Ben Kauffman's shop this morning. We have Ernie got a little bit of video showing how to properly fell a pine tree that looks like it shouldn't fall in that direction, but I guess if you attach a tractor to it, it works out pretty well. And Barry has apparently a small demo of his new jig. Are you ready to show that, Barry, when the time comes?
I am.
Oh, good. Excellent. And Kai has also got some reports from his work, his work, and also the German meeting. Good morning, Judy. Good morning, Ron.
Hello.
Good morning, Bill. I didn't say good morning, Bill. Jack.
Yep, good morning.
Morning.
We're getting quite a few people on this morning. I'll just give it another minute or so because we just suddenly had about another 5 people log in. How's the turning going, Jack? Have you done any new stuff recently?
Not going too bad. I'm getting ready to do a demonstration on Inside Out for a flatboard meeting.
Oh, cool.
And, I was looking at some YouTubes and I found some crazy thing. I found these gnomes. They're Christmas tree ornaments or whatever.
Oh, wow. Is that just cotton on it?
No, it's something that you buy at, they bought it at Joanne Fabrics.
Oh, okay.
It comes in a roll.
Okay, you don't have to go to the barber to get that sort of thing, is what you're saying.
No.
Well, I'm going to start off this morning with Ben. As I said earlier, we're doing a video of Ben Kauffman's shop. So I'm going to share my screen, guys, and see how well this works. This is my first time on my big screen for doing a managing meeting. But I already cleared it with John this morning. So let's go get at it.
What happened to your hair?
It's virtually not there.
I just filled it up again.
So how you doing?
Good. Well, I got this log. Everything's kill dried. I got it out in the high. My wife's cousin has a sawmill out there. He specializes in wool. Something like that. But these pieces, and I got about 2 other ones that are close to this size that has that diameter in the center. So I took it over to Martin's chair and had them flatten it. They flattened everything on the CNC router. Then I put a 3/4 inch melamine on the bottom and sealed everything off. Just filled it up with epoxy. About 2.5 gallons. And epoxy, of course, this is all end grain. So everything went in as much as, because that epoxy, if there's a pinhole, it'll go through, what you can see on the floor. That Some leaked out. I think the leg of that sawhorse is toxic to the floor. I'm gonna have to pry it off. And I put some black in it. I wanted some black veins, but then it cracked and kind of went all over the place. I'll put 3 legs on it. Another 16-inch coffee table.
Where'd you get the legs made?
Blue ball machine. Okay. Then I had a guy right over beside our shop, has a powder coating. He just moved in. Powder coated. Done a good job, I thought. I mean, this walnut comes out of the same tree. And I have about 5 other pieces just like this. Now some of them have a little more cracks in the surface. Most of them you can get, you know, a nice circle out, or you could use that as a table. Then I have the pieces in back, which they all come out of the same tree. Everything's kill dried. But this one here, I had that quite a few years. These were just pieces that were just really cracked. Yeah, that's a spalted maple. I'm going to make a table out of that and use it, a sofa table.
Okay.
Out of that. Oh, cool. Sometime. I was in the cabinet business ever since I was like 20 years old. Started making countertops, installing kitchens for other contractors. We used to make our countertops out in the job.
Okay.
Take a 5 by 12 piece of laminate out, bunch of particle board, glue everything up, make everything.
Mm-hmm.
Then we thought, well, we could do it better. We'd have a shop that we could make them in here. So this shop here is actually what I started.
Okay.
And then I only had half of just about from where you're standing over. For like 5 years, and then we outgrew that. Then we moved up the street, actually right beside Pellman's, and were in there for 6 years, and then moved over to where we're at now. That's the second building. We were in the first one about 13 years, and now we just moved in the second one just this summer, June. This is a piece of rosewood I got from Florida. This one here. That's so it's just harder, really hard to turn. It has a lot of light colors in it, sapwood. I think no. Oh man, the guy gave it to me. He told me what the name of it is.
It's not mulberry, is it?
He said it stinks like cat pee if you start turning it. Well, I don't like that smell anyhow. Wormy cherry. Yeah, my son-in-law cut down in his front yard. Yeah, these have some. Do something with it, but that's what it looks like. I made some stuff out of that. Once you start turning into that, I don't know how it is now, but man, the ants started coming out of there just by thousands.
How long you had that?
Probably maybe 2 years. But the tree was dead for a long time. Yeah, I think that might be an apple. My son-in-law cut down. And this is. That's maple. Some birch in there, and this is fallen maple. Just like that piece there, it's too. This is a, I don't know what the name of it is, but it comes out of Massachusetts. Somebody that brought a log down. They wanted me to cut a bunch of cookies off for a wedding to set on the tables. So I made about 50 out of those. I was going to make some other stuff out of it. Most of it's walnut that I didn't want to throw away, but what do you make that of? That's fallen maple.
Fallen maple?
I got a big tree up at Lidditz. So
How long you had that?
that probably 4 or 5 years. Norfolk Island pine. And that's a piece of cherry. Okay, I came up with an idea that I'm gonna make a plate for the New Holland police officers come in the coffee shop every morning. They always sit at a table, same table. So I'm gonna make a thin blue line plate for them. And I'm going to put maybe a 3/8 inch blue. That it's a work in progress. I think I'm going to have to paint it on. I made another one started. I wanted to do epoxy.
Okay.
And I used this here. There was a little pinhole in there, and I had a groove made, poured epoxy in, and it came out the back. There's a little pinhole. And I tried and tried sanding to get that out, and that epoxy soaks in the wood, and you can't hardly get it out. So that went the whole way through. Maybe I want to put a blue line and then a little black around the blue on the outside. And then I have this. And that I'm going to put in the bottom. Insert it in there. And I'll go the whole way through so you can see both sides and epoxy it in. I don't know, they're out of the way. I just didn't like to stand at a bump my head all the time, so I just moved the book. Get them, and I had them one time, but I had them across here, and I just didn't like that because it's, for me, reaching across, a moving tool isn't the safest. And I can easy here, just turn around and grab a tool, and I know where everyone's at. And my grinder, and this is I made too.
All right.
But I just tap it in there, and that keeps it there. And then if I don't want to use it, I can move it back. The wooden bar I folded on the lathe. That's going to be a ring bowl, but it was wet. And this wood is out of the same log. And I'm just letting them dry. But this platform scale I bought at an auction, And I thought, what am I going to do with it? It was all rusty. I gave $30 for it. So I took it over to where I got the powder coated stuff made, and they sandblasted it and powder coated it. And I thought, yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good thing to put my wet wood in. Like now, I did that while I moved it one time when I put it on. Now about a week later, I moved it back that it dried enough that you could tell now. I'll wait till it quits moving. Sure. Get the moisture out. My granddaughter left this note for me one time when I was at home. And she was referring to that cat. And she had picked out a piece of wood out of a bucket, this piece that she wants me to make that.
So how long have you been wood turning?
Just since I retired, 5 years. I always enjoyed wood turning. My dad had a lathe at home. And he would make barn pins for the timber frame.
Oh, yeah.
And we turned those out when I was like 13, 14. And I always enjoyed working on a lathe. And I always thought if I retire, that's what I want to do. So I got a jet lathe from Blue Wall Machine. About 3 or 4 years before I retired, then I started collecting tools and just what have you.
So the one way was a retirement gift to yourself, was it?
Yeah.
Hi, Sarah. I'm John.
Sarah.
John,
Hi.
I'm Doug.
And that's copper I made. That's white oak. There's a slab out there.
Did you turn that, or did that come from the
No,
CNC?
I had somebody turn them, make it on a CNC. Just finished. But, yeah.
Same tree.
That I turned on the lathe.
Oh, did you?
What?
Well, you know, you can.
Yeah, you can make stuff like that. Not maybe that stuff. And this one here, I was kind of intrigued with it. Yeah, crab. There it is. They're one of my very first things I started making. A piece of rosewood.
What's that? On the top there.
This is just something I made, a piece of fruit. And I don't know what it's supposed to be. But I made one like this, a little bigger, and took it over to the, well, actually, I was going to throw it away. This is stupid. Then my wife seen it down the shop. She said, "You're not going to throw that away." So I finished it, put a little backpack. It's a guy walking across the desert. Took it over to the farm show when they had me on. Farm show, you got first prize for it. Cool. Well, somebody liked it. I said, "Oh, you made a space needle." I said, "Well, yeah, it's not what it was going to be." And yeah, it stayed pretty good.
I was thinking the CN Tower, actually.
Yeah. But it was top heavy, so I drilled a hole in the bottom, filled it up with BBs. Maybe about this far.
That's a good idea. Let me put it back for you.
Norfolk Island pine with Purple Heart.
You mean your wife isn't allowed to come down to watch TV?
She does. She's allowed to clean.
Oh, okay.
she likes it. No, she comes there. And this is a lampshade I made. You guys seen that?
Nice to see it in the world.
This was a mistake from something I got it way too thin and it cracked. And this is another Norfolk Island. I wanted to, this Christmas, I still want to make a bunch of these here. Little boxes with acorns.
You have a threading apparatus in your shop, do you?
Yeah, I do. Well, I'll show you this first. I think you've seen it before. How I put the
Yeah, very good.
just hollow out the back.
Yeah.
It goes right over. And put an end cap on.
Let me guess, you mount them in 16-inch centers, is that right?
Yeah. This is a Norfolk Island pine. I don't know why I'm intrigued with those, but then I put a Purple Heart lid on, and that's hollowed out. This is I don't know, it was wet when I turned it and I tried to put a thread on. Or it wasn't dry enough, so. And these are just. This I made for my wife on Valentine's Day. I made a Hershey Kiss.
So it's down here in the man cave, eh?
Yeah. She has its stuff up there. That's the first stop. And when she gets tired of it, she'll put it down here.
Thank you very much, Ben. Is there any questions or anything for Ben that we can?
Pretty nice, Ben.
Thanks.
Yeah, some great tables.
Thank you.
Really
I really
like your work.
I liked your the work too. Very, very interesting. Doug, I have a suggestion for the photographers on this,
Yeah.
videographers, and it may just be me. I would I would find it better if the people who are going to show their work, I understand showing the shop needs to be videoed, or some things need to be, but if they're just showing the beautiful things that they've made, I would prefer seeing still photographs so I don't feel like I'm going to throw up as the screen is jerking around. Just a thought.
Okay, I'll pass that along to John since he's the one that does the video. I stand back, and Judy, that's fair enough. That was actually transmitted at 540, a lot lower pixel level. Did it come across as smooth as through the shop and stuff like that anywhere? Did we still get a jerky video out of it?
The shop seems smooth, but the pieces in the house sing jerky.
Okay, I think that might have been partly because of the way it was filmed. So, thank you very much.
Suggestion.
No
And
problem.
I had a real hard time understanding him. It was the whole end there where he was talking, where he was showing the stuff on the wall.
Yeah.
I was not able to understand 99% of that, what he was saying.
Yeah, I was at about a 0 level of understanding on that part of it. But I wear hearing aids in both ears, so.
So do I.
As John and I have said before, we're learning this process as well as you guys, and you're our guinea pig. So, Tom White, did you say something? You're on mute.
I was just going to suggest that perhaps if you follow Judy's idea and do stills of the pieces, then people could comment on them as you show the still in real time, rather than try and record the audio ahead of time.
Okay. I'll pass that one along to John too.
I like that idea too.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, I have a comment there. I enjoyed looking at the slab tables that he did there. And Doug, when you guys were over here at our place, I showed that redwood table.
Yeah.
I got that done now. I've got a walnut legs and the redwood top. I don't know if you can see that picture.
Let me just a second here. It's a little bit.
You got it?
Yeah, it's showing sort of milky to me.
Yeah, my camera's probably.
It's not going through the video very well.
Yeah.
Through the glass. It's not. It's reflecting off the glass, Ron. You need to take it out of the frame and or
yeah. All right.
Anyway.
Anyway, I finished that up and delivered it. The lady was very happy with it.
Cool. Barry, are you ready to go with your screen share?
Yes.
Hey, Doug.
Yeah, Ben.
I seen Blue Ball Machine on Black Friday. They're having a big sale on Powermatic and Jet. They're having like 15% off on Jet and 10% off on all Powermatic tools and accessories. Just thought I'd pass it along if anybody's interested.
Cool. That might help me. So I got a spot. We have Barry spotlighted, I guess. You're away, Barry.
You ready for me to share?
Yep.
What do you all have from my camera right now?
Got two pictures of projects and it says spiral jig and an X on it.
Now you got a bigger picture of the spiral jig?
Yes, we do.
A little bit.
Can you
What do you have now?
Good. Looks good.
Okay, so this is the overhead view. And just let me talk this through. This is extremely different than the earlier one that I had made. Main thing is it has no machining required. So what we have is a continuous belt. If you pick it up over at the left-hand lower corner, the belt feeds down around a hand wheel and then loops up and goes around either of, in this case, 4 steps on the index wheel and back down and continues its going clockwise, continues its journey. And I put a homemade joint in the thing that, in the belt so that it's a continuous loop. And I have a blank spindle or a blank piece right here ready for working. And you can see here there's a small 1-inch C-clamp holding a block, which is the stop block for how deep it'll go. If I take that off, I could also put the nose piece on the router from my original spiral jig and the router will just follow the contour of the wood. You'll also notice at the bottom right-hand corner of the cross-slide carriage, there's a clamp that has clamped the belt in place. Directly opposite, up on the far end of the carriage, up on top, you can see a little homemade cherry thumb pin that goes down into a wooden block. And that's like a positioning station for where you have to return the carriage to get accurate indexing. A combination of positioning the carriage and pinning the index wheel gives you exact spacing that you desire, whether that be 6, 8, 12, whatever flutes.
Barry?
Yes.
I have a question on your wheel, on the big blue wheel there. You have the drive belt going around one of those wheels. If you want to move over to another wheel, do you shift the thing laterally?
You mean if I want to change pulley diameters?
Yeah. If you go to, say you go to the bigger pulley, you have to slide laterally, right?
Right. You would take the tension off the belt by releasing at the tailstock, out beyond the tailstock end where it feeds over. Loosen that, put slack in the belt.
Yeah.
And then you can loosen the head itself that is under the blue wheel and slide it, in this case, to the left to take advantage of the next bigger wheel and the next bigger wheel and so on.
Okay.
The multi-step pulley has to stay compressed against the index wheel or it screws everything up. You can't have any rotation between the spindle and the disc, the blue disc.
Yeah.
And there's also like a 3-inch standoff I had to make there. You see a dead center mounted in it. And that was because the carriage was running up against the hardware and couldn't get all the way to the end of the work. So I made this as like a permanent standoff with a spindle on the, or with a dead center on the end.
Yeah, okay.
And that carriage can be tilted along 2 axes and then slid in and out. So you can actually put the cutting head perpendicular if you wish, although you can't take advantage of the spiraling feature. It has to have some lateral advance to do that. Okay, so here's the belt coming on down, and here's where you would loosen it with that bolt in the middle to take the tension off. And you can kind of see right pretty much in the center of your screen on the belt, the splice I put in there. CA glue works wonderfully on this stuff. You also here see the clamp coming up on the left-hand side, a piece of plywood block that clamps the belt to it for positioning purposes. And just to see the backside here, the whole thing is, my lathe is a cheap, it was a jet lathe, and so the variable speed is by sheave pulleys. And so there is a lot of friction on the head when it's not engaged. And to solve that, I put in this, this live center here, which rotates very freely and makes the whole thing operate a lot less jerky. It makes for a very smooth motion. And you see the blue pin in there in one of the holes in the index wheel. I've taken a marker and just marked every 45 degrees on the wheel in this case, so I know, so I'm not counting holes to get my 45-degree spacing. I'm going to be putting 8 flutes on this thing. You unpin it, unpin the wheel. I'm just cranking the hand wheel to put it over in a start position. I could have made a pencil line on the wood and started somewhere in mid-piece, but I'm going end to end in this case. And we're going about 3/16 deep, and that's a tapered upcline cutter. It's a CNC cutter, a 4-flute solid carbide cutter. A regular router bit works fine. So we take it back to its park position, pin it in place, and this is like a steady reference. You can make that park position anywhere, as long as it's consistent for the piece, for the work you're turning. So I pin it in place so it can't move left or right. And then unlock the belt, and my camera didn't catch it. It did catch my nice head of hair though. So you unlock the belt so it's now free to slide, and rotate the index wheel 45 degrees. Tighten the clamp so the belt is in place. Unpin it and unpin the index wheel. And so now it's back at its reference and 45 degrees advanced from where it was. Here we're coming in for the final cut. Again, you advance it to the park position, pin it, unlock the belt. Rotate it to its final position. Pin the index wheel. So now it's parked and pinned, and you can clamp the belt down so it's exactly 45 degrees off where it was. And then you have to remember to unpin everything. I'm really happy with how uniformly spaced you can get with the by pinning the carriage and the head.
Hey, Barry?
Yes.
I'm assuming, I don't know, if you were to have a piece, now that piece is a straight piece of wood. If it was tapered, for example, like a baseball bat, heavy at one end, thin on the other end, what happens to the spacing between the lines?
I don't follow what you're saying about the spacing in between the lines.
Okay, you know how you're right now, your spirals are equidistant from one another. If that piece of wood, instead of being a straight piece of wood, had a bolt, let's just say like a baseball bat, a fat end on one and tapered to the other end, the space between the lines would then increase?
Yes, absolutely. It's linearly proportional to the radius or diameter of the workpiece wherever you are. I don't know if you were watching a couple of weeks ago when I had the earlier version of this, and I put the flutes in the wine glass. Basically the angle of advance is what changes, not how many degrees. Basically the slope of the spiral is proportional to the radius, and so you get something like 6 inches in diameter. Those flutes would appear to be almost like threads.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. How do I end my?
By the way, next time you want to do this again, put your camera on the opposite side of the lathe, then we can see what you're doing instead of the top of your head.
Yeah. Yeah, last time John Kelsey was over and shot. Anyhow, on something like a baseball bat, now you can do straight flutes on anything by just locking the index wheel and disengaging the belt, so that as you advance it, you are not you're not turning the head. And also to do reverse spirals, instead of clamping at the end of the carriage that is toward you, I have it kind of mirrors that you put a clamp on the rear side and you clamp there. So then when it advances, the head is turning in the opposite direction. And so you could put make like a pineapple pattern, you know, or a pine cone pattern by going left and right directions. You just have to change where your clamp is, front or rear.
Thank you very much, Barry.
Okay.
Thanks, Barry. Yeah, that looks to me like a very well-made device, but quite simple to me to be able to put it together once if you had good plans for it.
Yeah, it is. There's no metal lathe work, and there's no. It's like around $35. There's no purchasing of commercial sprockets and such, except for the small 5/16 sprockets that line the perimeter where the belt rides.
Barry, how would you sand that later? Would you use a Dremel or just hand sand it? What do you usually do?
Given that well, first of all, I'm going to be doing second or third passes on this to get it in deeper and wider on the grooves. I want the flutes to dominate rather than the surface to dominate. And so no sanding would occur until after it was all done. But it would be just linearly, like, you know, with the grain, longwise, sand it, and I guess only for cleanup and any remaining sharp edges would I get into a little abrasive disc or something, one of those little flapper things. They're like little pinwheels that have grit on them. I don't know what you call them.
Like on a Dremel?
Right. Yeah, just like a deburring thing.
Thank you.
You could also use a tapered stone so that you would widen it up at a jig with a tapered stone on it. I have them in one of my tools. It's just made out of stone. It's kind of shaped like a cone, but it's rounded at the point of the cone. You could put that in there and then turn it, which would widen up your groove also.
Right. Yeah, I guess my only concern there would be on, I only have one speed, and that's my router speed, and any kind of abrasive thing, if you're not careful, you're going to be burning the wood because of how slow you're advancing. Depending on the wood species, of course, but like walnut and cherry will burn in a heartbeat.
Thank you very much, Barry. So
Okay.
I have somebody's pot or somebody's turning here highlighted. If he knows it, if he recognizes it, speak it up. Speak up.
Yeah, it's me, Doug.
I know, Jack. I was just figuring. I was wondering if you're watching.
He's still awake.
He's still awake.
Yeah.
We have a few pictures here from Jack Skinner to share. So
Yeah.
what you got?
It's Mark, not Jack, but that's okay.
Sorry, Mark. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I've been called worse things.
Yeah.
Is there another picture of that, like a head-on picture?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So this is some of our cherry inlaid, in this case with synthetic opal. And the opal stands a little bit proud, a couple millimeters proud. And I used CA to bond it in. This is cherry and Macassar ebony inlaid with Power abalone. And here I'm working on a third piece, inlaying it with the abalone. A lot of filing. I'll use my respirator. And so there's the top of the finished piece. I think there's another view with it's a lidded box, so another view with it open. There you go. So fun little pieces.
Beautiful.
Yeah, if anybody is interested, I can tell you where to get abalone shells, or of course the opal, the synthetic opal. Just let John Kelsey know, and he'll let me know, and I'll pass it along. I actually bought Power abalone shells and cut them myself.
What do you cut them with?
I tried using a jeweler's saw, first of all, which is what the luthiers use. If you're going to do precision cutting, that would be the way to go. But what I wound up doing was just using a Harbor Freight air-powered cutoff wheel and cutting strips, and then just using pliers to snap them into little pieces.
You, Mark.
If you back up a couple of frames, you'll see that, that I cut them in strips and then broken them into smaller pieces.
Doug, can you make those pictures larger?
No, I've got them on full screen as they are.
Oh, okay.
You can pinch them out. You can make them bigger.
Well,
I mean, I did. I did.
They're not doing that for me. They're on my full screen, so that's as big as I got. Sorry.
Yep. Yeah, I pinched them out on my iPhone. I can make them bigger.
Okay, well, we're coming down to the wire here, guys. I've got enough time here, I think, for one more. Let me just back this up and come on. What happened here?
The most difficult part of this was trying to photograph them.
Yeah. So it's coming down the wire. Kai, I'm sorry, I don't think we're going to have time for you today, but I just thought as the last one, Ernie Conover took some pictures and showed us about felling a leaning spruce tree. So we've been all in the finishing, so we figured I'd start off with the starting end of it. So let's.
I put this together. We've had some huge spruce trees that I planted in 1975 as seedlings. And we then transplanted them around our house. And over the years, they've gone up. And one of them was not only leaning towards the house, the trunk was serpentine. And I laid awake in bed thinking about how to cut this down. About 4 years ago, my son and I took a felling course from Husqvarna at our local show, Paul Bunyan show. So when I was a Boy Scout, we learned to fell trees this way, and we would just cut one notch right here, and then we'd cut from over here in, leaving what you call a hinge, which is about 10% of the diameter of the tree. It would pretty much fall over. Sometimes you needed to drive a wedge into the tree right here or pull on it with a rope, but it had some problems. Why isn't my slide changing here? There we go. If a tree is growing on a slope, you have tension wood on the uphill side and compression wood on the downhill side. And when you cut this the way I just showed you, you suddenly release all that tension and the tree often splits right up the middle. It's a condition called barber chairing, and it's killed a fair number of woodcutters. So the solution is to make a 90-degree cut on the direction you want to fell, and then what you call bore cut, where you just shove the bar of the chainsaw right through the tree. I actually did it from both sides. And then you make a bore cut from the back and put a wedge in it, and that leaves two back straps that are holding the tree up at this point, one on each side. So this is the tree. You can see it's leaning towards our house on the left. You can see it actually has two tops in it. There's a great big one hanging out with considerable weight. There's a side view of it. So there's the chainsaw, and I just want to point out that if you take, most chainsaws have some kind of a felling knock that you can point this line in the direction of fell, and it will make you make the notch in the right place. So here is our video. I did a lot of limbing first to get things out of the way so that I could work around it. My wife Susan is on the tractor right now with her iPhone hanging from the roll bar. I just cut the notch. I'm now making the bore cut through the middle. I just cut the back strap. Now I'm cutting the back strap right there. That's the last back strap. I'm now pounding the wedge home.
Well, he did it.
How much tension did you have to take up with the tractor, Ernie?
Just enough to keep it. 14-inch diameter trunk.
Okay.
So about 1.5 inches to 2 inches is your hinge. So the second cut, I took and made a bore cut all the way across here without cutting this out.
Mm-hmm.
Then I walked that cut in, and I had to come around to this side and bring it up this so that I had 2 inches on each side. I made that a little bigger than it needed to be. Then I came back here and bore cut in here, and that's where I placed the wedge. And then I cut this back strap. This is called the back strap here. And then I walked over and cut this one out, and I heard it start to creak. Then I started whacking it with a hammer. And so that's the whole story. This is the modern felling technique, and it by releasing all that tension wood, you pretty well do not get any barber chairing, although it takes a little more skill with a chainsaw. That was last Thursday. On Saturday, we had 50 mile an hour winds, and the tree next to it blew across our driveway. So I guess we got that down in the nick of time. And
Wow.
Wow.
Hey, Ernie?
Yep.
How do I get a picture of that where the last picture you had where you showed all the cuts?
I could send it to you, no problem. Just drop me an email and I'll send it to you. But I also can send you the copies of the drawings I made last night. I made all those drawings in an hour. They were pretty fast and furious, but
that's what I really want, those drawings.
That would help. Yeah. The big thing I'm trying to say here, and yes, you've had somebody teach you how to bore cut, where you just shove the nose in and go right straight through a piece. You shouldn't try this.
Understand. Thank you.
It looks like the house still had all the shingles on there when you were done.
Yep, it did.
Good job.
Gentlemen, it's 11:02. Thank you very much for showing up. Kai, we'll get to you next week, I guess. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, that's fine. Do you have a break next week, Doug?
Oh, sorry, you're right. We have a break next week. It's Thanksgiving. I forgot about that. So it's the week after next. My apologies. It's the week after next when we'll be meeting again. And next time through, we'll have John as our host as opposed to me. So thanks, everybody.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you, Doug.
Yep.
Thanks.
Okay.
See you in 2 weeks then.
Yep. See you
Thanks
next
for
week.
doing. Yep. All right. So long.
So long, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Doug. Good job.
Thanks.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
You bet. Take care.